needs to have one of them either on file with First or a paper version that you handed to me at check-in.
Vicki, can you address what if someone declines the media release? A parent does not want their student with the picture.
So if you have a student that can't get their picture taken, please let us know and then point out that child. So we will do the best that we can that we don't take their picture, but I'll be super honest, you're at a public event. I can't, everybody's got cell phones. So we won't use that child's photo like on our website or, you know, when we're pulling photos for stuff for our thing, but if some parent is taking a picture of their child and that child happens to walk behind them, I'm not sure how I can police that. Is that answering that question?
Yeah, and it really was just the parent who was requesting it just didn't want public promotional photos being
Oh,
used.
okay. Yep. So Richard, if you let me know who that is, then
Yeah.
we will make sure
And
that we don't take any pictures like that.
Yeah, and it's actually for Explorer teams, so I think it's
Oh.
even easier, but yeah.
That's way easier. Yes. Okay. Perfect. But don't forget to tell me.
Yeah, I'll send you the names.
All
And
right,
the
great.
teams. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. All right. So what do you guys bring into your event? You are, well, the second thing down, we already just talked about the forms, but so new this year, we meaning High Tech Kids, we are going to supply in the pit area for the practice tables, we are going to supply the mat and the mission models that are stuck down, that are dual lockdown. So what we need teams to bring is just your loose pieces. And I mean the pieces that are going to walk away. And today I added to this slide what I thought were all the loose pieces. I didn't have Jeannie double check it, so I think I have them all. But it's all those little energy units and fuel units and those little round things, the water loops, the truck, the car, that little storage tray. Forget what the name of that mission is, but that little storage tray. We're not going to put the minifigs out because those will walk away. Both dinosaurs, not putting our dinosaurs out. I think I got most of them, but just so you know that the practice tables will have the stuck down pieces. So make sure in a little baggie or whatever, you're bringing all these pieces that your kids will use when they're practicing. When they come in to the performance area with the referees and everything, we'll have everything, but this is just for practicing. So anything that you bring, label it with your team number. I'm sure that Jeannie and I are going to go home with a lot of energy units. But if your team number's on it, then I know how to get a hold of you. So please put your, use a little Sharpie somehow, mark your pieces. The other things you're going to bring, don't forget your robot. And I'm serious about that because we've had people show up without their robots. Who knew? The attachments, like a computer, your judging presentation, materials, kids. Don't forget parents, grandparents. Bring your spectators this year. We're trying to make it as fun as possible. But also one thing to bring that I don't have on here, I should add it. Bring a power. You're going to have access to power, but bring, just a cord that has multiple plugins if you need to charge more than one thing at a time. All right. So what do you need to do at check-in? So on the next slide, I'm going to show you the actual general schedule, but what time should you arrive? So for the doors are going to open for wave 1 at 8 a.m. And you don't need to come earlier than that because the first thing doesn't start until 8:45. So we're giving you lots of time to get in, check in, situate yourself, find your pits, find your kids, all that stuff. Same thing for wave 2, 12:15. Please don't come early and expect access to the pits. You can, if you're in the afternoon wave and you want to come early to watch, be my guest. You won't be able to move in to the pits until 12:15. And the same thing with wave 1. and I'll show you this on the next slide, we would like you to move out of the pits by 12:05 because wave 2 is moving in. So that would be great. So then at check-in, you're going to have those paper forms for me, like those consent forms. So it's either going to be the consent forms or that printout from your dashboard. And like I alluded to earlier, we are going to be giving you 1 medal and 1 pin per team number, and then 2 extra pins for coaches. You can give the medals to the kids right away. You can wait to the end. You can give it to them later on that night. Maybe you're having a pizza party while you watch the award ceremony. You can do it however you want. So once I give you the medals, you are in charge. All right, here's our general event schedule. So I just wanted to show that for doors open, our doors are opening 45 minutes before anything starts. Now that doesn't mean that every single team is going to have something at 8:45 or something at 1 o'clock. The detailed team schedules are up on our website now. So Egan Saturday has a web page, Prior Lake Saturday has a web page, and Prior Lake Sunday has a web page. So be sure you check those pages. You'll find your team number and what your actual detailed schedule is. But this is just the general schedule. So as you can see, it's kind of tight between wave 1 and wave 2. We didn't want to stretch it out for too long. So getting your help making that transition, we would really appreciate it. All right, is there any, before I keep going, any questions on the event schedule part of it? I'm going to get into judging and everything in just a minute here. So I don't know if there's, I'm looking through the chat. No
There's nothing in
questions.
the chat.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to keep going. Okay, what is the pit area? So this is a new slide I did because we got a lot of questions about what is a pit area. In the pit area, you're going to have a table. The table is going to have a little table sign stand on it. There's going to be a sign on each table that will say your team number 1, 2, 3, 4, the Fuzzy Ducks. That little sign will have your specific team's schedule on it. So you'll be able to see where when all your robot matches are. You'll be able to see when your judging times are. So if you can't find your schedule because your pit table gets all messy, just look on your sign because it's right there. But the pit table, that's kind of your home base. That's where you're going to throw your coats and your boots if it's snowing or whatever. That's where you're going to just dump all your stuff. And I will say, I wouldn't necessarily leave valuable things there while you're going to judging or something, like take your laptop with you, take your purse with you, that kind of a thing. Because we don't have guards guarding stuff. Theft isn't really a big issue, but I guess I just wouldn't leave anything laying around. Each pit is going to have access to power. So you'll be able to plug something in. So like I said, bringing a power strip is a good idea. We guarantee 2 chairs. I believe though, both at Egan and Prior Lake, we use lunch tables and they have those little stools. So probably you won't need to bring extra seating. One thing we are going to ask you, we are going to have empty tables on one side of the pits for the next wave. So please don't expand your space into empty tables because we're going to probably be setting those up to make our flip a little faster. And there are practice tables in your practice area. And this is something that some people also got confused about. So the practice tables in the robot pit, in the pit area, the robot practice tables in the pit area are not where you do your practice round. This is where you're just gonna practice with your robot, you know, maybe try something new, watch other teams. Maybe it's gonna help your teams get their little jitters out. But we do ask you to keep it to 5 minutes, especially if you have another team waiting, you know, to practice your gracious professionalism. What we don't want you to bring, do not bring your big 8-foot wooden Lego table. We're going to have plenty of practice tables for everyone. We also don't want anyone putting mats on the floor with their mission models because in some spaces, it just creates a tripping hazard and a fire code hazard. So you don't have to bring any of that. All right. General event information. So if you have questions at the competition, so if you've got a robot question, find that head ref. They're going to be on that competition floor. It's going to be kind of obvious who that person is because they're not going to be assigned to a table. They're going to be walking back and forth between all the tables. If you have a judging question, find your head judge. The head judges can be found kind of wandering the area around judging. Sometimes they're in our officials room. You can always look for a high tech kid staff person. We're in purple. And we're usually running around somewhere. Occasionally we will also be in the officials room. When in doubt, you can always knock on that door and see if you can find someone. And that's any competition questions, if you have any questions about anything, just find one of us and we'd be happy to help you. All right. So we are again using judging groups, and we do this as a way to cycle through a lot of teams in one venue, instead of having just a single event of 12 teams at a whole bunch of different venues. When venues can support it, we'll do multiple judging groups. In the past, they've been 16s. This year, we're doing 12s. So each judging group is a group of 12. And that's why when you look on the schedule, you'll see judging group, either lakes, woods, or prairie. And so you are only competing against those teams in that group. So if you're in the lakes group, and maybe you have someone from your school or your organization that's in the woods group, you two aren't competing against each other. So the lakes group has its own set of awards. The woods group has their own set. And if you have a third group at your event, the prairie group has its own set, and they will have their own set of awards, their own set of teams advancing. It's like multiple events happening at the same time, if that makes sense. So, all right, let's get to judging. So we had some judging questions, but generally, we are opening up the judging rooms again this year. Spectators are welcome. We do ask people to make sure that they silence their cell phones. One thing I noticed last year was that kids were presenting and their own pockets were vibrating and ringing, and it was distracting to them. So remind your kids, if they have cell phones, before they go into the judging room, to just silence their phones so that's not distracting. It's only 15 minutes that they're in there, but just have them make sure that they silence their phones as well. And if you are a spectator, or if you have parents coming in, make sure that they know that once they come in, they should be prepared to stay the entire time. Again, it's only 15 minutes, so they should just be prepared to go in there and sit for the whole time, because people going in and out of judging rooms, it's distracting to the kids, it's distracting to the judges, and it just kind of stifles the flow. And just remember, when you're waiting, you'll go into judging check-in. They'll tell you what room to go to, and they'll ask you to wait outside. The judge will come out when the judge is ready. The judge will come out and get you guys. So just wait till the judge comes out, and they'll say, oh, are you team 1, 2, 3, 4? And then you'll go in. Just remember that team presentations are limited to 5 minutes, which includes setup. So if you have some sort of technology, like say you're bringing in a laptop, or you have something that turns on or whatever, make sure that's all booted up and ready to go, because that's going to be part of your setup. I would practice this with the kids, because the kids should be doing this setup themselves, whether they're bringing in posters or bringing in something else. It should be the kids that are bringing that in. Our judges really like to see that the kids are doing that work. All right, so specifically in robot design judging, in this judging, make sure you're bringing your robot, your attachments, some way to show your programs, whether it's a laptop or it's printed out or whatever. If you were doing a presentation, and you can do a 5-minute presentation, and I encourage you to do a 5-minute presentation in robot design. If you have poster boards, whatever, make sure you're bringing all that stuff. Someone asked, Richard asked about the format of robot design judging. The team is going to all stay together, so they're not going to separate out. In the past, we had a programming judge that specifically talked to kids about programming, and we're not doing that anymore. So if you look at the robot design rubric, it talks about design and programming within that rubric. And so our judges determined that they're going to be able to pull enough information out of a single session with the kids. So they're all going to stay together. But that robot design judge is determining the programming award as well. And then for the innovation project, again, 5 minutes for a presentation, which includes setup. So make sure that those kids are bringing with them, if they did a prototype or a drawing of whatever their solution is to their problem, and all those presentation materials. I will say in judging, make sure the kids are, if during their presentation, make sure that they are, especially in robot design, presenting all like the really cool things about their robot, so then the judges know what to ask about the robot. And the same thing with the project. Make sure they're trying to really explain, this is the subject we picked. This is what our solution is. This is where, this is how we went through our iterations, all part of their presentation. It helps the judges ask better questions along the way, so that they can really dive a little deeper without having to ask a lot of surface questions to get to the meat of what the kids were trying to convey. All right. Let's see. Matt asked, are they going to have a mat in the design judging room? No. So if you look at the robot design rubric, it's really all about the journey that your robot took. It's all about the iterations. So one thing that is on there too is about strategy. So the kids will have to talk about strategy, but there will be no mat, and the kids will not be running their robot. All right. All right, let's see. All right, so robot performance. In both of these venues, the pits and the performance are very close together, and the judging isn't that far away either. So it's going to be pretty obvious where this is. They will both be separated by some caution tape or some stanchions. It's going to be pretty clear that it's kind of a roped off area. So within this area, we only want the kids back kind of behind the line. So the team members are back there running the robot. We have said that the kids can come with a cart or a bucket or something and unload all their Legos at the table. And then that cart or bucket is going to go, we're going to have an area for them to go put that stuff someplace else. Remember that the robots are autonomous, not driven with iPads or Bluetooth or cell phone or whatever. They're all autonomous, and all the programs need to be downloaded onto the robot. In the robot performance area, you have to use the mission models provided by us. You can't bring your own. Maybe you think your dinosaur works better than ours, but you have to use ours. Sorry. And also just a reminder that the scoring happens at the end. And once the kids say yes, the score is final. If the kids have issues, they need to talk to the head referee, and they should. So if the score pops up and it says 100 points and the kids think they got 300, for sure, go talk to that referee. I mean, because our refs are the head referee. Our refs are human, so stuff happens. So, but don't wait, 5 rounds later, because the referee won't remember anymore. But the scores are going to hit the board right away. So if it's really not what the kids thought it was, definitely go talk to that head ref right away. So you will have a scheduled practice round. It is your very first round. It won't be scored. This one will be in that performance area with the referees and the music and the MC and everything. It's not. There were some people that were confused last year. They thought their practice round happened in the pits. It is going to happen on our performance tables. And then your official rounds are those 3 rounds after that are scored, and that highest score is used for advancement. And again, that means if you get a 300 and then you get a 50 and then you get a 20, we use the 300. We don't average them. We just take your highest score. Whoops. Sorry, went too fast. Our scoring app that our referees use. So Minnesota writes its own scoring app. It is up on our website. Again, that tab that says 2022 Superpowered. If you scroll in there, the actual app that our referees are using is there. And if you guys want to practice with it, if you want the kids to be able to look at it so they know what they're looking at, have at it. Also the robot game updates. So our rule is 4 o'clock on Friday. Whatever, if a new update has come, we look at 4 o'clock on Friday and then we kind of go with that. In truth, I don't think that first posts anything actually past noon or maybe 1 o'clock on Friday. So you could look there on Friday afternoon, and there hasn't been an update for a while now. So, so I think we're pretty good, but those updates are linked from also that Superpowered page. Corbin asked if I'm going to share these slides. Yes, I'm going to put these slides up on each event page. They'll be up there linked. So, along with the partial recording, because I forgot to record the first half. All right, advancement and awards. So we are advancing approximately 20% to the state championship this year, and it averages out to be 2 teams out of 12. So it's going to be 2 teams from each judging group. Please remember that it is 25% of each one of those parts. So 25% of your project, 25% of robot design, 25% core values, and then 25% of your robot game. So we have had teams that have really done well in the robot game and not advanced. And that's for lots of reasons. So just know that the teams that advance are just going to be well-rounded amongst those 4 things. And one thing that, I didn't mention during the judging part, is there will be a core values judge in each of those sessions, in each session. So there'll be one with the robot design and one with the project judge. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. All right, so our awards. So our award ceremony is going to be online. It's going to be at 6 o'clock on Twitch. And because it's online, we won't be able to hand you your award. So if you win an award, it's going to go out through snail mail. And it's going to be that address submitted on your demographic survey. The rubrics will go out on Monday or Tuesday. Those get emailed out. Jeannie did a really good job last year. Mostly they got out on Monday, but sometimes, we get backed up. So, so you should expect those certainly by Monday or Tuesday. All right. I think, that's the end. So did I hit all the questions, Jeannie?
Yep, you got all of them that I
Okay.
saw so far.
All right, great. So we do have one of our head refs, Josh, on the line here. If you guys have any robot game questions, you're welcome to unmute. I do have a picture of the field, just for illustration, if someone has a hard question. Or if you have questions about judging, if you have questions about, I don't know, anything, feel free to unmute. Anyone?
So a quick question from me. So what is the maximum score a team can score in the tournament?
You mean on the robot game?
Yes, during the missions.
Oh, Do you know the high score? It's 4 something?
I believe it's 410. It depends on really what they're doing with the energy units. Oops, was I muted? Oh, I'm not
Nope,
muted.
nope, we heard you.
And how about the core values and the innovation project and the robot design?
So those aren't, you won't get a numerical score for those.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The rubrics will be marked though, so you will see if they were in beginning, developing,
Right.
accomplished or exceeds. So you will see what category the kids fall in, and then the rubric notes will help you kind of figure out how to improve.
So
Right.
the rubrics cube will be given in each round back to the team.
The rubrics you'll receive Monday or Tuesday at the latest via
Mhm.
email
Yep.
to whatever the coach is that registered the team.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Everybody's robot's doing exactly what they programmed it to do.
Hi, this is
Hey,
Robert. A quick question
Yeah,
regarding starting the home positions. Can starting blocks be passed between players, red and blue in the middle of the match while the robot's running?
You mean like a jig that they'll use to position the robot?
Correct. Yes.
So technically, no. Whatever goes on, unless the robot is taking it with it across, kids and equipment cannot go from one side of the table to the next. So if they have a jig on one side, they should have a duplicate jig on the other side if they're using that.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks.
Oh,
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yep. yes, go
Yeah.
ahead, Matt.
I got a question about the energy units that might go into that center oval
thing?
area. I think it says it just has to be completely in the circle. That doesn't mean it has to be touching the mat. Is that correct? If it was loaded up into some kind of a, piece of equipment that we brought and left them in there, would we get the full points?
Yes, you would. So that the rule just says that it must be completely in the target area. So that's the entire volume of the target area. So it can be sitting on the robot, it could be sitting on your innovation project model, it could be sitting on equipment, something that the robot pushes out.
Great. That's how we interpreted it too. And I have a second question while I got you. The loops on those water units, at least the ones shown here are very straight, and the ones that we have tend to get a little curved and curled. And I'm curious if it turns out that one of the ones at the table is not exactly maybe the way the kids would like it. Are they allowed to try to straighten it or swap it out with a different one, or how is that going to go?
So we won't have the opportunity to swap them out. For the kits that we bring to the tournaments, we try to make sure that they are in pristine condition. Obviously, they are used at the tournaments. So the refs will be trying to adjust things as they can. If the kids see something and they're concerned about it, let the ref know, have the kids let the ref know, and we'll see if we can do something about it. But for the most part, they should be straight, and we'll just try to keep them that way.
Great. Thank you.
So Richard, you want to unmute? I see your hands up.
Okay. Yeah. So first question, in the case where the robot's stuck and you grab it and lose the precision token, can you return it to either home, or does it have to go to the home where the technician started from?
So yeah, this is a question that's come up a few times, and what we'd like to see is that the teams are planning, that there is a strategy for if the robot gets hung up in this position, then this person grabs it. And so what we would like to see is that a team member, whatever home area that team member is from, if they rescue the robot, it goes back to that home area. If there's a situation where a team member cannot reach the robot and it needs to be rescued, the team can ask the ref to rescue the robot for them. They will lose a precision token, and then the team can tell the ref which side, who needs that robot. So that's how we've decided to rule on that one. Does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you.
Did you have another question too?
I did, but I totally forgot what it was.
Okay, there's another question in the chat, Josh. Sarah asks, can you launch a robot sticking out into the home area? Do they just lose a precision token if so?
So the robot, when the launch area is specifically that circle, that
Yeah.
quarter circle.
On either side.
So the robot cannot be sticking outside of the table, outside of the launch area, or into the home area. There can be a jig that sits inside the home area that the robot is touching, as long as that jig stays where it is when the robot leaves.
Sarah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. We just had a team during our mock tournament that chose to launch with it sticking over a little bit and just thought that they could lose a precision token if they had an
Oh.
attachment sticking over. So you're just
Yeah.
saying that they wouldn't be allowed to press the button at all and they would have to
Yep.
make arrangements.
Exactly. Yeah. If
Okay.
it's a lot of times we'll see robots that have, cords or something sticking out, and we'll just try to get the kids, tuck everything in, make sure it fits, or adjust the robot accordingly.
Great. Thank you.
And remember that even though there are 2 launch areas and 2 home areas, that you're only allowed a single robot in the performance area. You cannot bring 2 robots to the performance area. So only one robot. Everything that the kids bring has to fit within the inspection areas. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to run with whatever doesn't fit in the inspection areas. And the team is required to divide into 2. So we have to have kids on both sides of the table, according to first.
Yep.
Slight question on that. If the teams know they're only using 4 technicians and there's others who are part of the team but will not be standing there,
Mhm.
can they just stand back away together instead of like in the center basically,
Oh.
and just kind of declare we're not technicians?
So the ref will be standing in the center because we're definitely going to
Yeah.
have our heads on a
Oh,
swivel
right, of course.
this year.
Yeah.
But if there isn't anybody in the other launch or home area, then we'll just have the kids stand over there so that they can watch if they are not actively participating as a technician. Keep in mind that you can have 2 technicians at each home area, each launch area during the 2.5 minute run, and the kids can switch out, but they have to choose a side. So
Yeah.
if you've got a team of 6 kids and you got 3 kids on either side, then the 3 that start on the red side or the left side have to stay on that side through the entire match, and the 3 that start on the blue side or the right side have to stay on that side through the entire match. They cannot be switching back and forth.
But I think to answer your question, Richard, if you're only having 4 kids run the robot for the whole 2.5 minutes and the rest of your kids can probably stand traditionally where we've had them. So not on the audience side, but on the other side.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, you guys are quiet. All right.
One thing to remember too, now that we're having spectators again in the judging areas, remember that this is the kids' time. So spectators should be prepared to be quiet. Cell phones off, no conversations in the back. If there are, younger kids, younger family members, that's awesome. We love to have them there, but let's try to keep them under control as much as we can. What's up, Richard?
Was your hand up again?
Yeah, sorry, I finally
Okay,
remembered my
it's
second
okay.
question, or third at this point, whatever. Innovation project mission thing. So when we were doing practice runs, so obviously informal ones, the kids caught me like, hey, wait, what about this scoring? They didn't tell my fake referees about their innovation project, what would be the best way for them to say, hey, this is our innovation project thing? Just like at the beginning of the round, be like, excuse me, Mr. Ref or Miss Ref, this is that piece.
Yeah, we love to hear those stories. So definitely have the kids, you know, if there's somebody that isn't working with the robot right away, have them tell us the story of what is that innovation model? Why did you guys build it that way? What does it go along with your project or what? A lot of our refs will ask for that because it's a really neat thing for us to hear about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did have one more question I thought of. The home bases are kind of split in half from what it was last year, so they're a bit narrower. And I know to get the small inspection bonus, you start out and you have to fit it all into one of those quarter circles, and then presumably you can distribute it to both sides after that. And then the question is, if it doesn't quite fit into the home, is it okay to go over the edge? I think I read that that was okay, over the edge of the board. So you can't have a cart, I know that. You can't have a supplemental holder of this. But if you have something that's a little bit larger and you're kind of waiting for your turn to use that piece of equipment, can it be sitting on the edge of the black part, kind of over the edge of the wood? Or, you know, what do you do with it?
So as long as it's not currently being used, if it's sitting there staged, ready to be used, and as long as the robot does not come and interact with it at some point during the match, then yes, it can be hanging outside of the home area.
Okay.
After inspection.
Yes,
After
after
inspection.
inspection.
Yes,
Yes.
great.
But we do encourage kids to try to keep everything within the home areas because as they're moving back and forth, if it's hanging out, they can run into it and they may have to fix it.
And there's gonna be a lot of people around the table. Your ref is gonna stand probably right here in front of this model. And then kids over here and kids over here, and it's gonna be crazy.
And Vicky, while you're pointing at
Oops.
that,
Whoops. Yes.
the equipment can only extend to the left or the right walls as needed. So it can't extend over the south wall or the north wall while it's sitting in home,
Oh, okay.
like we
you're
were just talking about.
saying
So it can kind of hang over those edges, but not on the north or south wall, just to clarify.
here. All right. All right. Are there any other questions? We're pretty excited to get a fairly normal season, you know, going this year. Having spectators back to be able to watch everything, and so it should be a fun time. And we're looking forward to seeing how this dual launch area thing works. Right, Josh?
Absolutely. It
It's
should
gonna
be a great season.
It should be a great season. Lots of kids interacting on the field. So
I know I'm pretty excited to see how the kids are going to take advantage of not having to come back to a single home, just being able to kind of go out and
Yeah.
go back and forth.
And you know, that strategy, talk about that strategy in your robot design judging, maybe that's part of your whole game strategy. Those judges love to hear about that too. All right, well, if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to, Jeannie put her email in the chat. Feel free to email Jeannie or me, Vicky, VICKI at High Tech Kids. We will be happy to answer your questions. Please do not forget to fill out the demographic survey. Jeannie, you were going to put that in the chat. Did you? And I missed it?
Yep, that link is already up there.
Oh, the link is up there. Please don't forget to fill out that demographic survey for a couple of reasons. It helps us prepare for the tournament. Secondly, it's how Cheryl goes out and raises money other than clearly buying Powerball tickets. I'm just kidding. But it's how she goes out and raises money for us. And that's what our funders, they kind of just want to know who they're serving. So it's very important to us. So anyway, so unless there are any other questions, I think we're good.
If we win the Powerball, then we don't have to collect demographic forms. There's an incentive. We don't have to collect them anymore. It's free for everyone. Just kidding.
All right. All right. So if there aren't any more questions, so I look forward to seeing you all within the next 2 weeks. And I think looking forward to seeing some awesome robots. If you are, by the way, I didn't say this before, but I noticed we've got some coaches here I know that have multiple teams. If you have teams in multiple waves, just know that I'm gonna keep you at your pit table because why not? So I pretty much know who those coaches are. So I'll chat with you when you check in the morning about that. But other than that, everybody have a great evening. Good luck to your teams competing this weekend and next weekend. So thanks for tuning in. We are very excited. All right. See here. I have to remember now to stop the recording.